Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Today it's Fountain Pen Showdown Day. We're going to take a look at the Kaigelu 316. This is in the yellow pattern. And we're going to compare it with the Kaigelu 316A, a slightly updated model, but based on that same pen model. This is in a gorgeous green colour. Please join me down on the mat. We'll take a look at the pens, do a writing sample, then I'll give my thoughts on them. So here we are down on the mat and we're going to take a look at these two Kaigelu models. So the first one we've got is the Kaigelu 316 and we're going up against the Kaigelu 316A, which is more or less an updated version of the 316. And I thought this would be an interesting thing to look at the two side by side. So we'll start with the 316. This is in the low pattern. I think this looks quite nice. So aloe, I'm guessing that's part of aloe vera, which is a nice interesting plant to look at. And as we're going around this one, see we've got some translucency. So we can see there the cartridge converter inside it. But then we've got whites. We've got a little bit of chatoyan seed there. Quite nice to look at as you're spinning it round. Looking through the body, at the top we've got there the kangaroo icon. I like that living in Australia, where I actually see kangaroos quite often. I just need to stand at the front of the house. We've got an open area of land over from where I live, and we often see kangaroos in there. And we've had a few times when I've managed to catch them in our garden, which is quite an interesting little bit there. So we come down and we've got the black cap end. We've got the silver there for the clip. The clip there is very standard, nice and springy. The cap, same width all the way down till we come to this here, and there we've got, going round, this two bands of gold coloured material with some black in between them. The bottom of the cap, we've got a little bit of tapering down, and then we've got a noticeable drop down to the body. Body, again to my eye, seems to be the same width all the way down till we get to another gold band. And then we've got a black end cap, which is flat on the bottom. I do occasionally do this. You can stand it up on end. That's how flat it is. Let's just straighten this up. I managed to knock it all over the place. With the 316A. So again, we've got that same kangaroo logo there. Let me fetch them in. So slight differences. Nothing really major though. I like the way you can see the Joey's head sticking out. Where we start seeing the differences, we've got a green end cap here rather than the black. That green fitting in with the rest of the material. This material, this green material, as I spin it around, there's a lot more chatoyancy in there. You can see the way it's catching the light. Hopefully this comes over on the video. Again though, it is partly transparent. The cap, very similar. Same width all the way down. Got a more intricate here. This is like patterned. It feels like, I'm not sure if it's stamped. I don't think it's engraved. But we've got a little bit of pattern in there. Bottom of the cap again. Virtually the same as the other one. So we've got that gentle taper. We've got the noticeable drop to the body. Body, same width all the way down to that gold cap. And then again, the end cap, the end finial here, it's that green to match the rest of the body. I will be honest, I do like the look of the 316A. I like it being the same colour all the way through. Let's take a look at the business end. So the cap. Well there, all I'm doing is clipping the end. I'll grip the cap in the middle. There we go. So we've got 1, 2, 2.5, about 2 3/4 turns to take the cap off. Let's do the same with the 316A. There's 1, there's 2, 2.5. nearly 3 turns there to take that cap off. And we'll lay these next to each other. So in terms of the nib, I can see no difference in that nib. They both look the same to me. And that's really, in a way, good, because that's the consistency we're buying from Kaigelu. We're getting the same nib. We know what we're getting. And in one respect, it's the nib that's doing the actual work. The rest of it, it's all about holding the ink, isn't it? Section-wise, on the 316A, it carries on with that green colour. Whereas with the 316, we've got the black. Again, very personal preference. I like to see that green colour. I like to see it going all the way through. Let's get this out of the way and we'll do some measurements. Okay, here's the rule of measuring. I just realised I didn't show you the filling mechanisms. Just for completeness, they're both cartridge converters. There's the 316A and here's the 316. Just so you can see that I've shown you it all. Biggest difference I see between the two, this has got a black end, whereas on the 316A it was a transparent one. Okay, we'll do some measurements now. We'll start with the 316. So in terms of capped, that comes in at 13.7 centimetres. Uncapped, 12.6 centimetres. Posted, it posts onto the end here. I always feel it feels clumsy, so I use these unposted anyway. But posted, 17.7 centimetres. Let's move that out of the way and we'll fetch in the 316A. So with the 316A, its length, 13.7 centimetres. Unposted, 12.6 centimetres. Posted, again, posts onto the end. Doesn't seem to be as clumsy though, but I still only use this unposted. And that comes in at 17.7 centimetres. So in terms of lengths, they're identical. Let's take a look at our widths. Just pop that in and fetch in the other pen. There we go. So widths, they're 1.3 centimetres for the 316, but 1.26 centimetres for the 316A. Caps, the 316 is 1.47 centimetres, 316A is 1.5 centimetres. So again, ever so slightly different. Sections, we go from 1 centimetre up to 1.1 centimetres. On the 316A, 1.01 centimetres up to 1.1. Identical within the tolerance of my measuring device. Let's move this out of the way and we'll take some weights. So starting with the 316, the whole pen, 41 grams, cap, 15 grams, the body, 26 grams. The 316A, the whole pen, 26 grams. The whole pen here weighs the same as just the body on the 316A. The cap, 11 grams. The body, 17 grams. So this really, it's the first major difference we're seeing between the two pens. The weight's substantially different. Let's get this out of the way and we'll fetch in the notepad. So here we have the notepad of testing. This is a black and red notepad, A5 size, and it uses the Oxford optic paper. Let's start with the 316. So here we go, here's the 316. So we have here a Kaigelu. I think this here where it's a lot wetter, that's because I've had the cap on and off as we've been doing the video. 316. It's a medium nib. The cost of this pen, 24 Australian dollars when I bought it about a year ago. The ink by Robert Oster. And it's called Vine Leaf. I like this. I've only got a sample of this, but I'm quite enjoying the colour of it. Drying times, immediate. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. 1 minute. Still smudging a bit, so need to look at that when we go through our longer term tests. It's fairly cool here today. By cool, it's 13 degrees Celsius, so people might say, well, it's warm for them, but I do know that temperature does affect the drying times. Let's move the mic and we'll do a writing sample. That's nice. There's a nice amount of feedback there. There's no catching on the paper. It's nice and smooth as it's going over the paper, but you can certainly feel and can hear yourself writing. Line variation. So no pressure. Adding some pressure. Getting a bit of railroad in there. And I'll do some S's. It's a steel nib. You don't really expect that much in the way of line variation, but you certainly can push it a little bit. Final test is the flow. So as we go along, looks like we've got an issue. Let me just check that it's not an issue with no ink. I think that might be the problem. Oh no, we've got plenty of ink in there. Let's see if that'll finish off now. There we go, and it's starting up again. So I need to look at this. This is something I haven't seen in any of my testing so far. It's nice to see it happen on camera, always the way, isn't it? I'm liking the shading that I'm seeing in here. Now, where we've got the X, I don't know if that was an issue with how I was putting the pen down to the paper, or with the issue we've just seen here with the scribble, because it looks like the top of the X is not there. Could be the way I'm angled though, because I'm not sat how I would normally be for writing. Let's move this paper up. Okay, the second pen, that's the 316A. Would have looked nice with vine leaf in there, wouldn't it? But it doesn't, it has a different ink. So we've got here a pen that won't write. I think that was because I've had the cap on and off so much as we've been going through the video. So here we have a Kaigelu 316A. All I did was literally just do a scribble on some scrap paper and it wrote straight off. Again, it's a medium nib. Price wise, now I only bought this, I'm going to say about 3 months ago. The price was 35 Australian dollars. So certainly a price increase. The ink by Robert Oster. This one's called light green. Very similar in colour, isn't it? If anything, at the moment, I would say the light green is darker than the vine leaf. But we'll know in a second when I've done more writing with it. Drying times. So we go immediate. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. 1 minute. Well, this one's still fairly wet after a minute. What I'm going to do is do a 2-minute test. After a minute, well, I'm not sure, maybe that's my eyes. I think there might be the tiniest little bit of smudge there as well. So this is a fairly wet combo. Remember though, take into account the fact that we've got the temperature, the humidity, that all comes into account with the drying times. Let's move the mic and do a writing sample. I've got to be honest, it's what I expected. It's virtually identical to how it felt when I was writing with the other pen. They're both the same nib, aren't they? They're both Kaigelu nibs. So at least in one respect, out of a sample size of 2, I've got consistency between the nibs. Let's take a look at line variation. That's no pressure. This is with some pressure. Again, we're seeing, look there, we've got them railroading issues. Let's do some S's. Yeah, they look not too bad. But again, it's a steel nib. It's performing exactly how I would expect. Let's move the page up ever so slightly. We'll do that flow test. I wonder if this one will do the same as the other and run out part way through. Well, that made it all the way across the page, which is nice to see. Let me just reposition this paper so we can get some of both writing samples there for us to see. Just going to move this slightly up. I want to be able to get really the sentences in. So there's the 316 and here's the 316A. Both nice pens. I was a little bit disappointed with the writing I was seeing up here with the 316, especially here where it ran out. And when I was doing this scribble, I was thinking to myself that the colour seems to be getting paler and paler. And then, as I said, it stopped completely. I haven't seen that in my normal writing though. That has only happened on this video. The scores I've got for this, they're based on my normal experience, not on what I'm seeing in here. In terms of the ink colour, when I first looked at this, when I first started writing, the ink colour seemed very similar. But if we take a look at the two sentences, so up here with the 316 and down here with the 316A. The 316A with that lighter green ink seems to be a deeper green than what I'm seeing with the 316 and Vine Leaf. Now, yes, I know I'm going purely on names, but if I went on names, I'd have thought that would be the other way around. The nibs, yep, virtually identical. They're performing how I would expect. We've got some nice shading coming through in both of these writing samples. So it's nice to see some interest in them. As I say, I think I had more issues when I was writing with the 316, but that could be because of this flow issue. I need to look into that further. In my normal day-to-day writing, and when I'm testing these pens, you know, I'm writing maybe 20 or 30 pages in total, and the longest number of pages I usually do in one go is about 3 A5 sides. So I'm trying to give them a really good working out over a number of weeks. I've not seen any of these issues. Let's give these some scores. So we'll start with pen looks. I've got to be honest, to me, this is one of the things which does separate the two pens. Let me fetch them close to each other. The 316 in the yellow, yeah, it looks quite nice. It looks all right, doesn't it? I don't like the black bits, but I know it's part of the duofold type design, which is what this was copied from. I love the 316A colours there. I love the way it all ties together. I love the chatoyancy I'm seeing with that colour. Just turn that around slightly there. So for pen looks, I'm going to give the 316 7 out of 10. The 316A, I'm going to give that 8 out of 10. Writing experience. I say this is based on my tests prior to recording this video. Same nib, same filling systems, everything's the same really apart from the way the pen looks. Getting a very similar experience from both of them. So I'm going to give that 8 out of 10. It's similar for ink flow. Again, the consistent. I'm going to give them both 8 out of 10 again. In my testing, no issues. On this video, it shows me up. Value for money. This is one where there can be a lot of variability. 24 Australian dollars for the 316. Now, I bought that over a year ago. 35 Australian dollars for the 316A, which was about 3 months ago. That's an increase of a third, near enough. So to me, that's a big jump in price in a year. So I've got to take that price into consideration. There's the only real difference, isn't it, between the two, apart from the looks. So from the 316, I'm going to give that 9 out of 10 in terms of value for money. It writes nicely, performs nicely. Until now, we've never had any issues with it. $24, nice and affordable. With the 316A, with that being 35 Aussie dollars, that's got to affect to the value for money score. I'm only going to give this an 8 out of 10. So that means my total scores for these pens, for the Kaigelu 316, that comes in as 8 out of 10. For the Kaigelu 316A, well, that also comes in at 8 out of 10. And I think this score is really good because it shows that, yes, it's an updated model, but the scores, they do balance out. And really all you're then looking at is the difference in price between the two models. So this is my showdown between the Kaigelu 316 and the Kaigelu 316A. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. What are your thoughts on these Kaigelu pens? How about other pens that are inspired by that Parker Duofold type stuff? Please drop a comment down below. Let's kickstart the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.